Hey again, everybody, for exam objective 1.2 of the CompTIA 220-1201 exam. This time we're looking at this one right here, 1.2, compare and contrast accessories and connectivity options for mobile devices. So we're going to be looking at a couple of different things today. As usual, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know for this exam objective, and then I am going to tell you what kind of questions you might be asked about it on your exam. And finally, I'm going to give you some practice questions. Now, I'm going to try to keep this video going at a good pace while still giving you everything you need to be ready for your exam. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. The first thing we're going to look at is some different connection methods, right? So there are multiple connection options available. Their specific features will be discussed in more detail in later exam objectives. So we're not necessarily going to get into everything at 100% depth here. I'm going to introduce you to some new topics, and I'm going to remind you of some topics we looked at in the last exam objective as well. We're going to look at NFC again. That's going to show its head one more time. So let's go ahead and start us off with the different USB standards. So we've got a couple of ones. We've got USB-A, we've got USB-C, we've got micro USB, and we've got mini USB as well. Okay, so we need to be able to do a couple of things with these. One, we need to have a general idea of what are they? What are the differences? When would you use one and not the other? And also, can we visually recognize them too? That's going to come in a little more detail in a later exam objective, but you will need to do that for your exam as well. So look, I'll show you some pictures of these in a second, but first things first, most of us have probably seen most of these except for mini USB. Unless you're from like a previous generation, you know what I mean? Like I haven't seen that really in my time actually interacting with devices, but it does exist and we will go through it. So USB in general, right? We know what USBs are. It's a common standard for wired connections that facilitates data transfer and charging. So you can transfer data, you can charge devices, and you can use your pluggable devices like mice and keyboards, etc. through USB. There's a couple different types of USB though. Okay, we've got USB-C. Now this one should really stick out in your mind, right? It's the latest USB standard. It offers faster data transfer, higher power delivery, and reversible connectors, which means basically it can be plugged in upside down. So let's start to have a look at what these look like, right? This first one here is USB-A, as it's called, USB-A. It's the standard USB. If you've got a USB stick, that's the connector there, right? You can have a look, very square. It's got that square edge. If it is square, you know it's USB-A. The one we were just talking about, which is USB-C, I just did a quick Google image search, so we've got a wide variety of options here, but USB-C can be categorized as I guess you call it like an oval shape, right? So you've got that oval shape there, and when we say it's a reversible connector, essentially what that means is you can plug it in one way, you can plug it in the other way. You know, with USB-A's, sometimes you'll go to plug it in and it just gets stuck and then you have to flip it. You don't have to do that with USB-C. You can plug it in any way you want. So again, USB-C, another one right there. Right, that is a USB-C cable, the most advanced USB option at the moment. The next one is micro USB. So this is an older standard. It's smaller USB connector used in many older mobile devices for charging and data transfer. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Right, let's take a look at our micro USB. So you will have likely seen this with my DSLR camera. This is the cable I use to transfer data. Right, so it's got this funny kind of shape to it. Oh, I guess this one's a better option, isn't it? It's got this funny shape, right, where it's got like an asymmetrical length. It's longer on top and it's short on the bottom. So it's not reversible. You can plug it in the wrong way. And just, it's a little bit older, right? There's another photo there, okay? And the final one that we need to know is the mini USB. Now, this is an even older, larger USB connector, rarely used in modern devices. So we don't really see it anymore, but we need to know that it exists and what it looks like, okay? So mini, right, you can see it looks pretty funky. It looks like it didn't really come out right, if you know what I mean. It's just got a weird looking design, but that's the shape of it that you're looking at there. A little bit of a funky look to it for older devices, okay? Older devices. So that's the different kind of USB cables that we're covering in this particular exam objective. Just for your exam, you'll need to know what the pros and cons of each are. So just think USB-C is reversible, super fast data transfer rate. Mini USBs predominantly for older devices, right? That's what we'd want to be looking at there. Okay, so next is Lightning. So Lightning is a proprietary connector. Now, what that means, proprietary, in case we haven't heard that word before, it basically means it belongs to a particular company, right? Like it's got like a trademark on it. It can only be used by that particular company. And in this case, it's Apple. So a Lightning cable is only for Apple products. It is proprietary to the business of Apple. So it's used for Apple devices such as iPhones, iPads, and iPods. It's used for charging, data transfer, and audio output. So right, we've all seen this one before. That is a lightning cable. If you have an iPhone, you probably do. A lot of people do these days. You've got that lightning cable there, just like the USB-C. It's also reversible, right? So it's got that same benefit with the USB-C. Think of this as like Apple's USB-C cable, right? It's reversible. It's got pretty fast data transfer rates when compared to USB. Other USB standards, that's not USB-C. So it's like Apple said, we don't want USB-C. We want our own little fancy version that only we can use. And that is why the Lightning cable is a proprietary Apple cable. That's that. Okay, moving on to something we've talked about already before, NFC, near field communication. And just one thing I really want to point out to you here is for your exam, make sure you do know that the letters NFC refers to near field communication. It's really important that you are able to recognize it by those letters alone. Now, what is NFC? NFC, or near field communication, basically, we've talked about it already. We'll go over it again briefly. It's a wireless communication technology that enables short-range data exchange between devices. So it's all about short-range data exchanges. So think about the use cases we looked at before, what we're seeing on the screen, right? So here, you're going to catch a train. I don't know what language it is. It looks like maybe German. I'm Australian. I don't know, man. Look, but you can tap your card or tap your phone against that, which would then do a very short range NFC transfer, and you might pay for your train fare that way, for example. Or if you stop in to buy or buy anything really, and you tap your phone or you tap your card, that's NFC technology. Okay, and basically, briefly, what's happening. Let's say the one device might have, this is like a chip. I'm just going to draw a little chip. Let's say this is your card, right? And then you go to buy petrol, and you are buying petrol, and then you've got the card reader, and there's a nice man behind the card reader, and he's like, hello, how are you going? What would you like to buy today? And it's got all the little numbers on there, right? Little numbers, and you press the numbers, but you're like, no, you know what? I just want to scan my card. I just want to tap my card and pay. So what happens is you hold your card up to the reader. This card reader sends a signal to your card, which then activates the NFC chip. So now that's alive, it's turned on, and when it turns on, it sends out data, right? And that's how that data transfer happens. So this card reader is sending out the power, which powers up this chip for a split second, enough time to send that data. After that data is sent, then you walk away with your card. Your card's chip is now gone to sleep. Okay, now it's sleeping. After it walks away, it goes away and it takes a nap. That's roughly how it works, right? Obviously simplified, but that's really the extent that you need to understand that for your A+ 1201 exam. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to Bluetooth. Intuitively, we all live in the current world. We know what Bluetooth is, right? You just need to be able to differentiate Bluetooth from other types of technologies and also understand what kind of network it creates. And we'll get into the specific networks later, but I'm going to cover it briefly now just so that you're ready for it later in a bit more detail. So Bluetooth, you need to know that it's used to connect things like headphones, speakers, keyboards, and other devices, right? So if you're using a wireless headphone or earpiece, that's going to be through Bluetooth. If you're using a wireless mouse or a wireless keyboard, that is going to be through Bluetooth. We know this, right? Now, Bluetooth creates what's called a personal area network. It's a specific type of network, and it basically means that there's you've got your headphones, you've got your, what else do you have? Maybe you've got a little mouse that you use for your computer, right? And a Bluetooth creates a network that's just for your personal things. It's like your personal space bubble. You're not going to span a city with it. You're not going to provide an internet connection to a whole house with it. It's just connecting things in your personal bubble, All right, that's really important for you to know for your exam. It creates a personal area network, or a pan, right? I think of it when I wash the dishes and I'm washing the pan, I listen to a podcast on my Bluetooth. So Bluetooth creates a pan. Don't know if that helps you, but it helped me. The next thing we need to know about is tethering or hotspot. Again, something we've all probably done, right? But we just need to be able to basically look at a scenario and say, this is the technology that's being used in this scenario. This is when you would use one over another for your exam. So in this instance, we're looking at tethering / hotspot. So first of all, what is it? You've got your phone, right? Your phone uses cell towers for cellular data. Okay, maybe let's say this guy over here in the corner is saying, oh man, I don't have any Wi-Fi to connect to. And he comes over to you and he says, excuse me, sir, can I please use your phone's cellular data to connect? Can I connect my laptop to that cellular data so that I can then use your phone's cellular data as though I have a Wi-Fi connection? So you're effectively providing that gentleman with a Wi-Fi connection. That's essentially what it is, right? You're allowing other devices to access your phone's cellular data. So your phone is essentially creating its own little Wi-Fi network, or it's acting as a router, but it's using cellular data. All right, hopefully that makes sense, right? So hotspot is when you create a Wi-Fi network using the mobile device's cellular data to provide internet access to other devices. So if you're in a park, you want to use your laptop to access the internet, you can use your phone to tether, right? So what you'll need to know for that, again, is for your exam, you need to be able to say, all right, if Stacy's at the park and she wants to go on YouTube or study in the park, but there's no access points or wireless networks around, which one of the best following technologies is the best way, or is a reasonable way for her to connect to the internet? One of those options is going to be tethering or hotspot, in which case that would probably be the correct answer, right? That's what you want to think about. Now we've got accessories. We're going to try to fly through this one, guys, largely because it's so intuitive. So we've got our stylus, right? So stylus, essentially, right, it's a little pen you can use with a digital interface, right? Stylus, you're using a pen. Instead of a finger, you're using a pen. That's pretty much it. It's a pen-like tool used to interact with touchscreens for precise input. Its uses, right, ideal for drawing, writing, and navigating on touchscreens, but there are two different types, okay? You've got an active stylus, which includes electronic components for pressure sensitivity and palm rejection, right? So it's really able to focus and say, all right, I don't want to register the input of your palm. I only want to register the input of the stylus itself. And depending on how hard you press is how much of an impact your digital ink is going to have. And then you've got a passive stylus, which is just without all that extra stuff, right? It's based, you may as well be using your finger. It's just more ergonomic, perhaps, okay? So you want to know the difference between those two. Have a read of that if you want to, but I'm going to go ahead and move on because we've got headsets. Now, we know what headsets are, right? It's basically, you've got the audio component, and it generally just has a microphone attached to it as well, and they can come wired or wireless. So if you want to engage in an audio conference or anything to that effect, you'd want one of these, okay? There's not much more. They can be wired, wireless. If they are wired, it'll be through a 3.5 millimeter audio jack or USB, okay? So that's really what you need to know. Speakers, you have speakers. Speakers produce sound. You can connect to these speakers through wireless or wired means, right? Most speakers these days are going to be wireless, and you would connect them through Bluetooth. So you listen to music, you can watch videos, make announcements, etc., right? Again, through wire or wirelessly via Bluetooth. Pretty intuitive there. We've all seen what a speaker is. We've all used one before. Okay, and then a webcam, we've talked about it before. We know what it is. You can purchase a webcam that is separate from your computer, or like me, you can use the inbuilt webcam that I'm using, hence the video quality that you're probably seeing right now. Thankfully, I'm only very small in the corner. Now, you will need a webcam, of course, for video calls, streaming, or recording videos, such as I'm doing right now. And to effectively engage in video conferences as well, you'll need a webcam. The last two little components, we've got a docking station. Now, a docking station is an accessory that allows a mobile device or laptop to connect to multiple peripherals and expand its connectivity options. So let's take a look. Sometimes you can see things best through pictures, right? Let's take a look at this. This is a perfect example, right? So you've got this laptop and it's connecting to all these different peripherals. You've got some audio peripherals, whatever these peripherals are, and it's sliding into a device that looks like this. Now, here's the thing, with a docking station like this, generally, especially for your exam, you're going to want to think about it as follows. A docking station allows you to have all these different connections, and generally the docking station is really big and bulky, right? You're not going to slide that into your bag and take it somewhere else if you need to like a quick and handy HDMI port additional to what you have on your laptop, right? It's just too big for that. This is something you put at your desk and you keep it there so that you can like do hot swapping, or you can just bring your laptop into your work, plug it in through one connection, right? It'll probably just plug in through one connection because the thing itself, the docking station itself, already has all the other peripherals plugged into it. So you don't have to plug in 20 different things. You just do one connection and it's ready to go. But generally it'll stay at your desk like that. Okay, you're not going to take it with you so much. It's pretty big and bulky, right? And that's the contrast. You can pause and read if you want, but I pretty much just covered that. That's the contrast between that and the port replicator, which is an accessory that expands mobile devices or laptops' connectivity options by providing additional ports or peripherals. So far it's sounding pretty similar, but look, essentially it looks more like this, right? So it's a little more portable. You can slide it in your backpack. It can be used really with any device that has a USB or USB-C connection, whatever the specific connection of that particular port replicator is. But you can use it, put it in your backpack, take it if you need to give a presentation somewhere to make sure you have all the available connection options of it to you. You can take it with you. It is portable, but it may have less connections available, right? So here's the key distinctions. Docking station stays at your desk, right? Stays at your desk. It's big and bulky, but it has a lot of different connections, and it's usually, or it can often be designed for the specific type of laptop. However, a port replicator, super small, super agile, can be used in a wide variety of laptops, can be taken all over the place, but it generally has less options, and it's not specified for that particular laptop. So here's the key differences, guys. You can pause and read if you want to, but I pretty much just went over it. Pause and read if you need more clarity, but you can go ahead and just, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the final component of this exam objective, which is these three things: the trackpad, the drawing pad, and the track points. So we're gonna need to know the difference between these three things. Basically, look, they're all just methods of physically interacting with your laptop. The trackpad is, you've probably got one on your laptop. I've got one on mine. It's this little thing. Or on a laptop, it's the thing you use your fingers with and you scroll around, right? But essentially, it's a touch-sensitive surface that's used as a pointing device to control the cursor. And you can also do different gestures as well. It's one of the advantages. 2 fingers swiping does one thing, 3 fingers swiping does another thing. For example, you've got those multi-touch gestures. I was just describing those. It gives you precise cursor control, and it's often built into laptops, but you can get external ones like you see here. Now, the next one is a drawing pad or a graphics tablet. We'll call it drawing pad though. So it's a device used for creating digital artwork featuring a pressure-sensitive surface and often paired with a stylus, right? So pretty self-explanatory what that is, right? If you want to do graphic design in a digital way of any kind, you're probably going to want a drawing pad. You're not going to use a trackpad. The drawing pad is going to give you much better feedback, much more accuracy in what you're trying to do, particularly if you use it with an active stylus. Remember, active versus passive stylus, so you're going to want that. Now, the last one is track point, or a pointing stick. We'll call it a track point, but look, you can read that if you want. Basically, guys, I had them on older laptops when I was like a kid, but you just use the one finger and you move the mouse like that. So it takes up a lot less space. It can also be a little bit more finicky, right? So it's a small joystick-like device. We've seen that before. You just use one finger to control the mouse. All right. So pause to read that if you want. But look, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into some multiple choice questions that are going to help prepare you and see how ready you are for your exam. Let's just jump straight into it. The first question reads, David enjoys his daily morning runs in the park. He recently bought a pair of wireless earbuds that automatically connect to his smartphone as soon as he puts them on. The connection is stable, allowing him to stream his favorite workout playlist with no interruptions or cables getting in the way. Based on these features, which connection method is David using? A. Lightning, B. NFC, C. Bluetooth, D. Tethering/hotspot. Pause the video if you need some time. I'm going to move straight to the answer right about now. The answer is C, Bluetooth. So just again, if we're connecting things in our personal area network, headphones, a mouse, keyboard, headphones, that's going to be Bluetooth, right? So Yeah, think about personal area network. It's in your personal space bubble. It's going to be Bluetooth, right? Lightning, if they mention something about Apple and a wire, then we'd be looking at Lightning. NFC, remember for short range data transfers, tethering or hotspot, that's when you use your phone. Just you allow another device to access cellular data through your phone. So your phone is essentially acting as a router in that instance. Let's go to the next question, which reads, Michael is a freelance consultant who spends most of his days hopping between various client sites and working from temporary setups like coffee shops and co-working spaces. He emphasizes his need for additional connectivity, such as connecting his laptop to an external monitor, keyboard, headphones, and mouse. Which accessory is Michael most likely to choose for his needs? A. Port replicator. B. Docking station. C. Both offer the same level of portability and functionality. Or D. Neither. He should use built-in ports only. Pause the video if you need more time. I'm going to the answer. The answer is A. Port replicator. So the key thing here, the distinction between a port replicator and the docking station is the port replicator, remember, it's small, it's mobile, it's portable. This guy's jumping around all over the place. He needs something he can put in his backpack and go to a bunch of different sites. Remember how bulky the docking station was? Further, he says he only needs really to connect to a couple of basic peripherals, such as a mouse, keyboard, monitor. That's all going to be easily done in a port replicator. If he had more complex needs, maybe a docking station, but even then, because of how much he's jumping around, it's just too bulky really to try to fit in your bag properly. So that's why port replicator was the answer. But again, pause and read if you need more of an explanation there. If you want to have a look at the other options, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next question, which reads, Alex just bought a brand new smartphone that boasts rapid data transfer speeds, enhanced power delivery for fast charging, and a reversible connector design that lets him plug in the cable either way without any hassle. Based on these features, which USB connector is Alex's phone most likely equipped with? A. USB, B. USB-C, C. Micro USB, or D. Mini USB. Pause the video if you need more time. I'm going to be moving on in 3, 2, 1. Right about now. Okay, the answer is B, USB-C. Now the key thing here is, one, he's saying it's super fast, and two, he said it's reversible. Okay, you can plug it in either way. The only one of these that's reversible is USB-C. That is what it's known for. Okay, the other ones all have to be plugged in a particular way. There is an up and a down. All right, so based off of that criteria alone, we should have hopefully got that right. And if you want to pause to read the detailed explanation there, you can. The last question reads, Katie is a professional digital illustrator who relies on her touchscreen laptop for creating intricate artwork. For her work, she requires a tool that not only mimics the natural feel of a pen, but also supports features like pressure sensitivity for varying line widths and palm rejection to prevent accidental marks when her hand rests on the screen. Which of the following would best meet her needs? A. Active stylus. B. Passive stylus. C. Track point, or D. Trackpad. Pause the video if you need more time to answer. I'm going to jump to it in 3, 2, 1. The answer is A. Active stylus. Remember, she needs a stylus that is going to have those advanced capabilities, and the active stylus is what has those advanced capabilities. The passive stylus, you may as well be using your finger. There's really no difference. It's just more ergonomic. Track point is that small button in the middle of the keyboard, and a trackpad is a standard input device that is often integrated into modern laptops. You use your fingers to swipe. Okay, so an active stylus is the one that she would have wanted to go for there. That's the kind of thing you'd want to be looking at in your exam. Now guys, these questions came from my learning guide. In my learning guide, as you can see here, I break the entire exam down into its primary objectives, into its secondary objectives, I suppose you could say, and even furthermore, for each secondary objective, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, etc. I give you specific notes on every single dot point and every single sub dot point. Wherever there's something mentioned in the exam objectives, there's notes for it. Okay. Furthermore, for every one of the primary exam objectives, so like 3.2, 3.3, 4.1, 4.2, etc., I give you get notes on everything in there, and you also get Open-ended questions. Now, these are really good for getting you to a point where you can verbally explain the topics and concepts, because if you can verbally explain something to a person in a natural conversation, the chances that you're going to be able to deliver that same content in an exam, they go up pretty significantly. You get answers to those, but what everyone's really there for, let's be honest, is the multiple choice questions. So broken down into these same exam objectives, right? So it's broken down into extreme detail in those exam objectives. For each one of those, you get multiple choice questions, which I've specifically formulated to make sure you're covering everything. That's right, everything you need to know for your exams, okay? And you also get detailed answers like you've seen here today, and that is for every single exam objective, guys, so you're not missing a thing. Furthermore, you get 11 performance, talking faster than I can think. You get 11 performance-based questions. I'm just so excited about how much value is in this product, guys. That's why my words are escaping me. 11 performance-based questions. And you also get a video where I tell you how to 10 times your learning with free AI tools. So I tell you how to actually take the information in the learning guide, put it into 2 free AI tools, don't cost you a thing, and you can really hone in on the areas of the exam that you're struggling with, so that while you go for a walk, while you go shopping, I actually give you methods that you can do to study while you're doing that stuff. So you can, instead of scrolling on YouTube and trying to find the perfect podcast to listen to, where maybe for 10% of it they cover the content that you need to get better at, no, I tell you how to make like a 16-minute study resource you can listen to on the go, and I give you some techniques on how to really use that effectively, so you can, with pinpoint accuracy, make sure you're covering your weaker areas. Okay, so that's just a little bonus. And also in the learning guide, damn, I put a lot in there, man. Look at all this. Oh, I'm surprised looking at it myself. I give you a breakdown on when you get a multiple choice question, how to actually study using it so that you're going to be ready for your exam. What a lot of people do with multiple choice questions is they'll just say, okay, here's the question. I think that's the right one. Check. Did I get it right? Yes. Okay, that means I'm ready. But no, you've missed out on like 90% of the opportunity to gain knowledge there. And there's a good chance you've got some gaps missing. So when you get the learning guide, I actually show you how to, a specific technique on how you should really be using these multiple choice questions to study properly. All right. And, look at me there. I'm coaching you through it. So if that looks good to you, this was before I updated my website, but I just didn't put the updated screenshot in here. You can go to journeytocyber.com. That is journeytocyber.com to grab either your learning guide or your ultimate learning guide, which comes with the clickable simulations for exam objective 5.0. And that's about it, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Look, I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to put links in the description and the pinned comment below. I'll put a link to my website where you can grab this, and I'll also put a link to a free exam. I've got a free practice exam that you can download completely free of charge just to see where you're at. It's got 90 multiple choice questions, and I think 2 or 3 performance-based questions as well. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you stick with me, you keep watching these videos, you keep doing these questions, you'll really be pretty adequately getting ready for your exam. You're going to smash it. You're going to kill it. Can't wait to see you graduate. Not graduate. What is it? University, college? No, I can't wait to see you walk out of there with your certificate. All right, guys. See you later.